Hi, Dr. Peterson. So on February 13th, you got into a prolonged debate on Twitter with a quote bot, a Slavoj Žižek quote bot, and then again on March 9th.
With a quote bot?
Yeah, it was a quote bot.
No, that wasn't very bright, was it?
No, and then again on March 9th, actually, with Noam Chomsky quote bot. And so I want to ask you, as like the leading.
Because I'm old and don't understand technology.
Yeah. So how important do you think it is to like debate these intellectuals, and do you think that you won?
Oh God, I always hesitate to claim victory. Like to escape without abject defeat is a pretty good ambition. So, and plus I think it's rather improbable that I would win a debate with a quote bot.
So some people thought it was pretty close.
Yeah. Twitter is a weird platform. You know,
it's complicated. Yeah.
It is a complicated platform, and I've modified my approach to Twitter in the last month and a half, I would say. I've been trying to selectively retweet information. I polled a bunch of people and asked them if they knew of credible Twitter sources that were producing valid, good news. And I found a bunch of sites that were doing that and then winnowed them down. I really like humanprogress.org, which has done a lovely job of detailing. Well, they had a great tweet the other day I really loved. It was a mock-up of a New York Times cover. And it said 127,000 people lifted out of abject poverty today, you know, in like large type. And then the tweet was, we could have run this every single day for the last 20 years. It's like, you know, because some of you know, but perhaps some of you don't, that between the year 2000 and 2012, and this hasn't stopped yet, the number of people in abject poverty in the world fell by half. Right? It was the most rapid period of economic development ever in the history of the world. And there's lots of things like that happening. There's several 100,000 people a day being hooked to the power grid, which is a big deal. For those of you who have power might also appreciate that. Infant mortality has been plummeting. You know, we're going to plateau in terms of population at about 9 billion, and it's going to level off and decline pretty rapidly after that. People are getting access to fresh water in record numbers. Like, there's so many good things happening that it's not even funny, and that are a real cause for celebration. And so I've been trying to tilt what I've been distributing more in that direction. And I've also put a buffer between me and my use of Twitter, so because it does reward an impulsivity that isn't always, let's say my impulsivity, that isn't always in anyone's best interest. I made an agreement with my son because he's been watching, I have lots of people watching what I'm doing and trying to keep me under some degree of control, let's say. And his comment was that if it was serious enough to engage in Twitter combat about, it was serious enough to write a blog post about. And so I've kind of made this rule, which is I'm not going to comment on anything on Twitter in that sort of manner unless I feel that writing about it at some length is justifiable. And so I started doing that this week. I wrote 3 blog posts, and that seems to have gone pretty well. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.